part of what I'm going to be talking about does involve District 6, because District 6 is something that I wear under my skin. And my family is also a family that was displaced from District 6, and so that is part of what I'm going to be referring to. But I'm also just going to be talking about my Cape Town and what that is. And I want to start off by saying that most times I move with joy and ease and an occasional sense of belonging through the city. All of this is mostly self-imposed. It's my political statement about who I am, more than a sense of being embraced as a full citizen of Cape Town. That is more what informs my being. And as I propel myself forward towards a greater sense of being a true Cape Townian, I am surrounded by daily reminders that it was not always so. Some of the reminders I carry within myself, while others are external to me. And I was reflecting on this when I was attending a commemorative event on Saturday for the younger squatters who fasted 30 years ago in St. George's Cathedral. And since I've been invited to be part of this talks, the Potter Talks, I've been thinking about what this whole thing about being a Cape Townian and what Cape Town means to me and to others as well. And I thought about what Cape Town must have meant to those families who came together on Saturday, reflecting on 30 years ago and what brought them to be fasting and protesting in St. George's Cathedral. And I suppose I latched onto one of the many contradictory sides of the city. In this instance, on the one hand, the city represented for them a place of visibility, of non-silence, a visible place where their protests, which had gone unnoticed in the ghetto areas, could be seen and heard, and strangely, a place of sanctuary, embodied by the welcoming of St. George's Cathedral for the protest. On the other hand, and at the same time, it was a place of the other, the entering into a space, the city of Cape Town, as an outsider with a limited sense of legitimacy. And in a different way, I know that feeling. My ease and my superficial and fleeting sense of acceptance has not always been the way that I relate to Cape Town. My first generation middle class self, having started at first in District 6 and then having grown up in Bonita, has not always represented an acceptable face. I carry within my present a past of being the other, entering the space of another who has more legitimacy than me to be part of the history of the city. My Cape Town, though, is a place of beauty, of charm, of charisma. It's a place of necessary contradictions, and that's okay. But the one thing that sometimes troubles me is that it is a place of unacceptable denial. A city that thrives on the quaint charm of those who represent its underside. The underside become acceptable, but just a little bit. The Cape Town of my childhood flashes before me as a riot of colour, of minstrel carnivals, of Christmas choirs and Malay bands, of Madame Butterfly in the City Hall and milkshakes at La Fiesta, of window shopping down brightly lit Adley Street, and then the incomprehensible return to the reality of not asking why I can't sit downstairs at the bus as we go back to the Cape Flats. Why exuberant behavior has to be tamed in case it disturbs others, as we, the having become weekend people of the city, retreat out of the city to the Cape Flats so that the real citizens of the city can take their place as the weeks go on. The tolerance of the weekend is over. And later on, it also becomes reflected in the tolerance of the New Year Carnival once a year. And I struggle to feel, even now, that we have moved beyond this tolerance. Sometimes I feel resentment when grounded citizens, such as those from District 6, become a backdrop of vibrant colour and music and street culture for a city which once sought to destroy itself and now seamlessly wants to claim its culture as its own, as if its creation, that is District 6, and its recreation was and is all part of an integrated tourist strategy. My Cape Town represents a beauty, it represents innovation, on the one hand, but on the other, I believe it doesn't always value the deep intellectual capacity of people, such as the District 6 community, as representative of others like it as well. It does not really believe in the theory of community cohesion that exists within communities themselves. It is not by chance that people can make things work. It is deeply grounded in their own reality and their sense of knowing who they are and what they can achieve. Cape Town, as it lives in me, represents the reality of 2012, but also my past of the 1960s, when I was born, the 1970s, the 1980s, the 1990s, the times of my life which are a part of the skin in which I live. But also, through my forebears, I represent generations before me which are represented. Flashbacks to gloriously happy times, as well as to times of alienation, help me to understand outbursts that happen around the city, from those who might not have grown the faith of acceptability as I have. I understand it because sometimes I still feel it, but I've learned to tame it. My Cape Town, its people, its structures, its policies, my Cape Town struggles with me, and I with it. Thank you.